Boop. What's happening, guys? Let's remove that. All right, get out of there. Done. Hey, everybody. What's happening? What's going on? It's Sunday. That's right. You don't see my face. You see my avatar, which is good enough. That's fine, right? What's going on, guys? How you guys doing? See some people out there. What's up? We got Ryan, we got Scotty, we got Jason, we got Jesse, we got Eric. What's going on, Marvin? How you doing? How's it going? How you guys doing? Talking head, that's what it's all about. Yeah. Audio only tonight because I didn't feel like turning on lights or turning on the camera. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. What the hell is this? All right, sorry. I was just looking at something. I was like, what the hell is that? In my mentions, that's all. But hey, guys, how's it going? How's the weekend going? Yeah. Nope, don't feel like putting clothes on. Scat, never. I'm not going to do that. Who wants to do that now? But hopefully you guys checked out the video I just posted probably not too long ago. About an hour ago, maybe less, maybe more, actually. Where we could finally say that Wayne T. Carr is our John Stewart Green Lantern. We could finally say that. That's right. What the hell? Okay. Nah, sorry. I just saw something trending. I'm like, all right, I need to get into something because I'm trying to get into, putting some investments somewhere, and I'm seeing something that's trending right now. I'm like, oh, yeah, I need to invest in that. A lot of stuff out there. I know cryptocurrency is like a crazy thing that's happening right now. But anyways, guys, that's not what we're going to talk about. We're not going to talk about cryptocurrencies or anything. And by the way, I'm currently drinking some Bud Light seltzers. That's right, guys. Bud Light seltzers. What's ever left in my fridge, I am drinking it. Nah, it's just, yeah, it's actually kind of nice because last night I had people over and we decided, hey, let's just drink wine like crazy. So that's what was had last night. And woke up a little like, if you ever had a wine hangover, man, had a little bit of that this morning. That's for damn sure. But no, it was fun because it was people I hadn't seen in a while, and a lot of good conversations, fun. And then guess what I did, guys? I went, hey, who here has not seen Zack Snyder's Justice League? And when that question was answered, okay, so 4 people out of the 4, 3 had not. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I know what we're doing for the rest of the night. And I just put it on. I just said, fuck it, put it on. And it's not like, and yeah, even though you talk a little bit during it, just you're talking about what's happening on the screen. But other than that, it was all eyes on the movie, and everyone loved it. There were some teary eyes too. So there you go. I'm just saying, if you know friends, family, whatever the hell that have not seen Zack Snyder's Justice League, just put it on. Just make them watch it, and they'll be all right. They'll definitely be all right. Yeah. They'll be all into it because that's what happened. And I was like, all right, cool. It was like one of those things where you kind of just when like the spots that some cool shit's gonna happen. So you're looking in your periphery. Like, I want to see the reaction. Yeah. Like that? Yeah. That's what you gotta do. I'm woke. Warner Brothers moves. What? Restore the Warner balls. Who's woke? I'm woke. I'm awake. That's all. Yeah. What's going on, Andrew? How you doing, bud? So yeah. So that's what my night was like last night. It was kind of nice though because I got to disconnect. Anytime that I'm just home by myself, I'm constantly looking at, hey, what's going on Twitter? How's everybody doing? What's going on? It's hard to disconnect, but when you have people over, you're like, okay, now I got to focus on them. So it was cool. It was awesome. And yeah, talk about a busy day yesterday. Jeez. I mean, Woke up pretty early because it was kind of like it was one of those situations where it's like, okay, my panel's at 12:15, which was, of course I was going to be awake by then, but my stupid brain goes, hey, you're going to end up oversleeping on this thing, man. And you got to, make sure you're well prepared. So it was one of those things where I was like, all right, I woke up at 5, woke up at 6, woke up at 7. And after 7, I was like, all right, it's just time to wake up. And I went and, got some Saturday morning breakfast, as you guys know that I like to do. And yeah, just basically turned on Justice Con and said, hey, let's watch these other panels, of course. And then I was still kind of tweaking what I was going to ask good old Joe and everything. So female cast panel. Yeah, definitely was. That was a good panel. I what's sad is like this morning, I did wake up a little late. So I went, oh shit. And so I was like 10 minutes or 15, or maybe I only saw half of it. I got to go back and watch like everything about it, but I got like the bullet points when it came to that panel. And I thought, wow, this is awesome, because what I noticed, well, we'll talk about it, but what I noticed in that, we'll talk about all of it. But what I noticed in that panel, it just seemed like, when you have that many people, everybody can just end up just talking over each other and blah, blah, blah. But it seemed like everybody just kind of wasn't really talking over each other and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool. Dug it. Can't wait for Suicide Squad. Yeah. Chocolate waffles are your favorites. Damn, you're going full chocolate waffles. That's awesome. All right, let's see. Let me do this here. Boop. But yeah, drinking the seltzers because that was left in the fridge, and I'm like, all right, but it's actually kind of nice. Yeah, if you ever drink a seltzer, like the Bud Light seltzers are actually pretty damn decent, because I'm not into super sweet drinks, and luckily most seltzers are not sweet. That you get a little bit of sweet, a little bit of flavor, but mostly it's just seltzer water, which is good because you can get a buzz while you're hydrating. That's what it's all about. And that, of course, lowers the hangover if that's going to happen. So, but, it's not like I'm going to just drink the rest of them. I'm not that crazy. I just thought, hey, let's just have a couple tonight, Sunday, good weekend. Like I said, good stuff. Justice Con. Praise to the girls, man. I tell you what, they pulled off. I mean, talk about upping the game. First off, when it comes to Justice Con, they upped the game like crazy, because from last year. Because last year it was something new. Probably the first year is always going to be like, okay, let's see what works, what doesn't. And I think what everybody's kind of constructive criticism, I know it was mine, was the fact that we don't need the three of them to host every single panel. Not only is it, you want to have some mixed voices in there, but I mean, that was extremely taxing on them. So the fact that, they were handling all that, I mean, that's got to be exhausting. So why not just get more hosts and then handle the backstage stuff and stuff like that. And speaking of host, I figured since I was going to be talking tonight and I was like, hey, still awake, I was going to bring her on. Miss Wonder Meg, what is up?
Hello. Hey, what's up?
How you doing?
I'm
How
good.
You feeling?
I'm pretty good. Pretty good.
Good. Yeah. I mean, you're still awake, so you're probably still a little bit wired, huh?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was just giving you guys some praise right now on
Thank
how you
you.
upped your guys' game this year.
Thank you.
I know. I mean, one of the things was like, yeah, get some other hosts in there so you're not always there, and try to handle. I mean, obviously you still got to handle the backstage stuff, but I mean, it went pretty well. I mean, a couple of things. I mean, obviously it was mine or something. Of course,
you handled that so well though. Like if anybody else would have been flipping, I would have started sobbing.
Yeah, I was like, it was like, I can't even hear you. You sound, like it's all.
Well, it's like I've used my iPad like a few times, like on StreamYard, so like I know exactly what he was like saying, and I'm like, oh yeah, that happens all the time. Like you must be using an iPad.
And he used he said caterpillar.
Yeah, which I didn't understand that, because how do you sound like a caterpillar?
I was trying to figure out exactly is he talking about when a caterpillar walks? It's like I don't know, like this does he watch videos of magnified noises of caterpillars walking? I don't know where it makes a noise. I was trying to figure out exactly what he was trying to say right there, but it was I was like, damn it! Of course, everything was running smoothly, and then first off, I hit the generic countdown, not the right one.
Yeah. That was when it started playing the right one, and then the wrong one started playing. And I said, oh, maybe we should click the other one for it, but no, we just let it go.
Well, what was funny is, and I should have asked this. I went, okay. I figured that I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna handle all the stuff behind the scenes, and then when it was like, okay, we're about to go live, and I was waiting, I'm going, okay, I guess I'm clicking live. I didn't know. I thought I that's what I should have asked. I was like, okay, I should.
Well, I mean, you did miss the meeting, one meeting, so
that's right.
Yeah, where we discussed all that.
But you could have sent me a message. Damn it!
I know. I kind of forgot. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. No, but it was it was fine. I mean, the fact that I try to be unique. So here you go. My stream has not the right countdown, and I'm the one that's like the camera got the furthest away from their face, not close up. You don't want to see me. No, but once everything was all right, I mean, it went smoothly. I mean, it was kind of it started off rocky, but
then it added charm to it.
It kind of did. And it was like, and then trying to just going, okay, just go forward with it with Joe and everything. And I knew, I was like, okay, I gotta, because beforehand I went, okay, where's my niche here with him? I gotta let's not just talk Deathstroke. And then I went, okay, yeah, he's a Metallica fan. So am I. So I got to bring that up and shoe that in. And I, of course, put that in there a couple of times, which worked out. And then there was I knew he does a good Arnold impression.
Yeah, that surprised me. That was awesome.
Well, it was funny because that morning I went, okay, what else? Let me look at some interviews with Joe. And he was on Jimmy Fallon a couple of years ago. I think it was actually 3 years ago. And he did a Kermit the Frog, a Pee Wee Herman, and an Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. I went, okay, we could do something that's Arnold impression, because I've been known to bust out an Arnold impression every now and again.
No,
not me. What are you talking about? So I was like, I went, okay, that's got to be something, because I went, okay, how am I going to talk? Let's bring up the Ayer cut and him working with David Ayer, and that parlays into, hey, what was it like working with Arnold? Because Arnold was, of course, the star of Sabotage. Mm-hmm. And then he went on, and then all of a sudden he busted out into it, and I was like, yes, there it is. And he started doing you got to do the proteins, and you got to get the, you sit down next to me, you got to do this. And he started doing it, and then I started doing it, and it was like, yes, that's what we were going for right there. So it ended up working out. And then I was like, okay, who knows D&D? Because I sure as hell don't.
I didn't know a fucking thing.
Yeah, I know. And then thank you for joining in to do the question stuff. Yeah. And then I was like, okay, and then I didn't even think about, because I know Nana apparently is big on D&D, and I was like, I should have brought that. I
never knew that.
I didn't know that either.
I just brought that up either. Yeah. The whole time we were getting Joe, and it's funny, it was so hard for us to get Joe. And then we had a meeting with Zach, and we mentioned we haven't really heard anything from Joe. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just text him. I'll text him. Yeah. And so he texts him, and Joe's like, oh yeah, I'm down. And we're like, oh, okay, that's easy enough. But none of us, I didn't know anything about D&D, but when Nana was like, oh, I love D&D, it's like, okay.
Damn it. I know, because I immediately hit up Steven. I'm like, hey, because I already had plans to be like, hey, Steven, I was like, you want to just join and maybe ask a question or whatever. And then, so he was already down for that. And then I think the day of, yesterday, I went, hey, you into D&D? And he goes, no, I've never played it, but I listen to a podcast weekly. And I went,
which is so weird.
Yeah,
right?
I was like, good enough, man. Good enough.
I don't know. I've never played the game, but I listened to a weekly podcast about it.
That's Steven for it. I know. And I went, that's good enough, man. If you can come in and ask a question about that'd be sweet. And then once that happened, man, did Joe go off. He was like dropping names about his, weekly games and all this stuff. And he was just, I mean, that to hit that sweet spot. And that's what I wanted too, because I was like, I don't know how to like tap into the whole Dungeons and Dragons.
Who did he say?
I forgot. I'm already forgot.
That's a funny thing is that like,
I forgot the first couple of names, but I know you mentioned Vin Diesel.
Yeah, Vince Vaughn.
Yeah. Apparently, Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave, he's also a frequent. James Gunn, he talked about.
I think it's funny. Like, I was involved with like pretty much all of the panels, like behind the stage, and like I have to rewatch them, right? Because like I'm so focused on like making sure it goes well and like everyone's like connection is good and everything. And it's like people are like tagging me and stuff about like what happened. And I'm like, wait, he said that? Really? What?
Yeah. I know. I see people like sourcing my panel with Joe talking about like certain things. I'm like, oh, that's right. He did say that, didn't he? He talked about
like I asked Chris Terrio about the title of BVS, and I completely zoned out after, like, not zoned out, but like that's the one question, right, that I really wanted to ask. And so I asked it, and I said, okay, I can breathe now. Like,
I know, right? That was pretty insane, by the way.
Oh, dude, I was so like I told you I was like so nervous, right? Yeah. And so I was just nervous in general because like last year Zach's panel was huge.
Oh, it was very huge.
And so like this year I was like, okay, well, like maybe it'll be like not as big, which I was fine with because like it was so nerve-wracking. So we're talking or whatever, and then Chris Terrio's name pops up and I'm like, holy shit, he actually showed up.
Wow. Yeah, I think like when it comes to like, I know last year it was like it got up to what, 19,000?
Yeah, it was like 18 like and a half.
I think it's just because it was just so fresh.
Yeah, and it's like the first like big like online convention of like that type of like talent.
And
like the first time he would talk about Justice League since announcing it.
So. And then ever since then, he's been all over the place. Yeah. So now it's, I mean, it's sadly the fascination is not as much there, but it was still a good. I mean, it's still like over. I mean, I'm looking at the page right now because I wanted to like go over like some of these panels, and it was. I mean, it's over 40,000 views right now, which is crazy. Yeah, but I mean, you guys did such a good job because the first day having it all be in workshops and stuff like that with artists. I mean, that was pretty good.
and that was all Nana's idea. Like she really wanted like that to be out there. And then so when we put the workshops together, we really wanted like just a whole plethora of like different talent. So like we have like writers, cosplayers, like people literally like there's these two brothers that are like making their own like Martian Manhunter like fan film. And like they're making like all the costumes and everything. And like it's really like it never ceases to amaze me like how talented like all of these people are in this fandom.
Oh, I know. I mean, just that's what I try to do on my timeline is retweet some of that stuff, so then I could bring it up when I do my show, because I always go to my tweets, because that's the main reason why I want to do that, is just to show like, hey, look at these people making like pretty fucking creative shit here, and it's great. And I think I mean we had Workshop Artist League International, which was Batmax. Really cool. I mean, we love that guy. I mean, he did my my vodka stream, stream logo, which is great. And then there was how to make a film. That was so well done.
I know.
Jesus Christ. I was like going, holy crap, that just puts everybody to shame right there, how well produced that fucking segment was.
And then one of my friends, A-List, he actually did like how to do a fan edit of like, so he took like a one scene from BVS where Superman is at the Capitol, and he changes the suit from like the blue and red suit to the black and silver.
Yeah, just kind of showed everybody how it's done. Yeah.
Which it's crazy, like just the work that like fan editing puts into videos like that. Just imagine like the work that like VFX artists use. Like how crazy that is.
Yeah, I know, and they're using like super fucking computers. Everybody's like, "I'll just work on my laptop. That's all." When I render it, it sounds like it's gonna blow up. I'm like, yeah, I know. They're using like fucking these computers that have all kinds of fucking memory and and processors that are just like 10 times what we're using. So I can only imagine. But yeah, and then of course there was like the making of the BVS spear, which was really cool.
That I feel like that was like one of my if I had to pick a favorite of the workshops, it was that one.
Yeah. So many good ones. And then, so it was a good starting point just to be like, hey, ease yourself in. And then all of a sudden we get into it on Saturday and whew, man, good stuff. Good stuff. So it started off with, I think it started off with Anyone Can Cosplay, right? Was that it? No.
Yeah. So the first panel of the day was Anyone Can Cosplay with Cole, and she picked some really great cosplayers. Yeah. They talked about things that I never really thought that like cosplayers like dealt with. So like they had some disabled cosplayers that go through like struggles with like this one specific cosplayer. She cosplays Supergirl, and they would say that she can't use her like arm braces or whatever because Supergirl is supposed to be strong or whatever. And and I never thought that. I guess I just always thought the cosplay community was super like inviting, but to hear some of these stories, it was just. And I mean, Liz Wonder is amazing, and she was talking about like sexual harassment that she goes through, and it was just is really eye opening for sure.
Yeah, it's sad that that's the case. It's like, can you just enjoy the art and not just be like, look at you, can you bet, you're so high. Like, you know what? It's like, can we not go there, internet, please, or anybody? And then it went to Gonzalo Gustavi. How do you say his name? Gustavino?
I don't know how to say. I don't want to butcher it, but
yeah, with Ohio Dave, which is that's when I like when I woke up and I was like, I'm awake, got my breakfast, we're good. And that's when I like clicked in was when they started, which of course he designed. You get obviously the logo that I used for the thumbnail right here. Yeah. He's the one that, which Why Not stuff. That's what he goes by when it comes to Twitter. And he does excellent work. And they kind of just went through like his art. And there was a giveaway, right?
Yeah, so he had like created this really cool poster of Superman with like the League in front of him.
Rising.
And like the quote he used was like the future takes root in the past or whatever from the movie. And he auctioned it like his panel, and then the next panel, which was Ray Porter, he said whoever donated like the highest donation would get a HD poster of that.
That's cool. And then who did
you
guys announce?
Barker. Right? Yep, Philip Barker. He donated like $300.
Yeah. I've talked to Philip. I mean, he's
he's an awesome dude.
Yeah. I mean, he's supported my Patreon, so he always shows up to the Patreon streams. And it's like I always thought, I'm like, damn, dude, you like. I mean, when it comes to, I mean, mainly like everybody who's on the Patreon, they're using their laptops or whatever, but he's all got a fucking professional setup. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You podcast, of course.
Yeah, he does like Twitch streams too, like plays video games and stuff. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah, he's cool. So congratulations, Philip. But yeah, that was a cool little start. And then of course Ray Porter with Shiraz. That was great. I mean, it's always good to hear. It's funny too because it's gotten to the I'm opening up another one. Seltzer. This one is watermelon mojito. That's right.
Oh, ooh, nice.
Yeah, so get a little mintiness going on here. But with it's always awesome to hear Ray talk. And I mean, even though like when he was making the rounds and he's telling like the same stories, I still just enjoy hearing them. Yeah. It's just something about it because he's such, I mean, he's so cool, he's so nice, and almost like when he talks about when he's talked about it, he's talked about it on my show, he's talked about it with you guys, he's talked about it with everybody. But when he's like just talking about it again, it almost like it just sounds fresh, and he'll like put in another joke or something like that.
Yeah, he always puts like a new spin on the way he tells the same stories. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And then Shiraz, just Shiraz, because we all like that guy. So professional. I mean, he's it's just funny because when it comes to some of these panel hosts, it's like you got Shiraz, and then you got like Tim and you got Scott, who are all like, let's wear like some nice shirts, some jackets, maybe a tie, be professional, you know. And I'm just like, I'm just gonna wear the fucking Justice Con t-shirt with
I mean, that's what I did. I just wore a fucking t-shirt all weekend.
And it's just, I love the fact, but it shows. I mean, it shows when it comes to them, like they're just, you know, that's the approach they do. I mean, and that's what's so great about this is the fact that we can have different voices and stuff. Because then what came next was, of course, Chris Wong Swenson with Ray Fisher, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And I just love Chris because he gets so animated and he gets so excited.
He has like such a childlike joy too, that it's so infectious. When he
smiles, I'm like, oh my, I want to pinch your cheek and kiss your head. That bald head, I want to kiss your head, Chris, because you're so precious. You're so precious, and it was great. And then of course Enosh came in to help him out with the questions and stuff, and it was just, that was cool listening to Ray. And then, you know, and I was glad that that Chris, you know, he asked about the investigation, asked about all that stuff. He didn't, you know, avoid any of that. And, you know, Ray wasn't, I mean, it wasn't as much fire as he was like last year, but, you know, he was just kind of going, yeah, you know, to hear all the, I mean, he was just giving us the information that had been put out there, and the fact that he heard things and this, that, and this. And yeah, it was just nice to hear all that. You know, and it's, well, I mean, God knows what else is going to end up coming out. I mean, I think he kind of alluded to that a little bit, right? Yeah. Like,
no, it was, I'm glad that like the way we paired people up, it was like some people have never gotten a chance to speak to some of these guests. So we were really happy to be able to do that for Chris. And I know that Ray has mentioned like a few times, like he's been on other people's shows, he's mentioned Chris, so we're like, oh, we have to put them together.
Yeah, I know. And when you guys told me like Joe, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's okay, cool. I mean, yeah, but like I said, it ended up working because I was like, okay, wait, I found. That's right. I mean, it was full on Metallica. I mean, I think I messaged you. I went, I found it. Well, I'm gonna like connect with him on like not a Deathstroke Slade level. It's gonna be Metallica. I know it's gonna be Metallica. He's a Metallica fan, so I'm gonna bring that up. And we're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna bring it up a few times, and then the Arnold impersonation just came later on, of course. But yeah, it was definitely that. So yeah, you guys did a good job of like pairing people up, and
I think it just added like an extra like layer to the interviews too, because it's like the person that's interviewing them like genuinely like cares about their answers and like their interests and other things like that. So it's not just like them talking to some random like press person.
It's and like it's so stupid. I actually forgot to show off, you know, what Joe has a clothing line called Death Saves, and I totally forgot I had the tab open and I totally forgot to go to it. I think it was all the audio thing that just fucked.
Yeah.
Because I was like, all right, introduce, and then, you know, because I was gonna, my whole thing was, well, he's got a movie that just came out that he produced, not just was in, which was Shoplifters of the World, and I wanted to bring that up, and that was going to lead me into the whole Metallica thing, because it's going to talk about music, because I wasn't like a big Smiths fan. You know, when I watched the movie, I was like, oh, okay, this is about the Smiths breaking up and these people doing this stuff, you know, small little contained movie. And I went like, you know, I'm like, I'm not really, you know, Panic on the Streets of London. I mean, I know the songs, I know some of the songs, but I never got like big on them. And then I was just gonna like, all right, let's steer it to, because the first time you see Joe in that movie, he's like, yeah, he's up like putting some, like grabbing some CDs or records or whatever the hell, and you just see not Master of Puppets, but Metallica, and Ride the Lightning on his back. And I went, yeah, and I looked, and he's had a Metallica shirt on and other things. I think even the Magic Mike scene where he goes into that convenience store to try to sway that, I don't know, and he does that whole thing with a water bottle and dances. He's wearing a Metallica shirt. And,
he's like trying to get the person's attention, because they're not.
And she's not even having it at all. Yeah. So I mean, and then even other times too. And then I just like, yeah, okay, he's definitely a Metallica fan. And you know, it's funny too. I mean, Scott had his moment with Harry Lennox with the Chocos.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so. I mean, that was
like he just had that right next to him.
Yes.
How fucking adorable is
but my
that?
moment with Joe was the fact that when all right, the last thing I'm going to ask Joe before I bring Megan is what would Slade Wilson's favorite Metallica song be? And I thought, I'm like, it's got to be Disposable Heroes because that is so much about soldiers in war. And he immediately goes, probably Disposable Heroes. And I immediately went, yes,
yeah,
Joe. And I was like, it was either going to be that or Damage Incorporated. I knew I was like something. I was like,
that's really.
And I was like so happy. But so that was my Chocos moment when it came to Scott and Harry, and that was just perfect too when he paired.
Oh my, Scott and Harry was like, it was the like the one panel like that was like my number one that I really wanted to like watch.
I was gonna watch that. No
they
way
were,
I was looking at.
Even like before we even went live, like because Harry had it was like a little time zone flub up which happened last year with Jay, so like we were prepared for stuff like that. But he showed up and they didn't really get a chance to really talk before.
Because that was one of the things I mean that I'll let people know too is there's always like a little 15-minute window that you guys get, which is obviously good. And when we all were backstage with mine, Joe popped in and then we talked to Joe, and one of the first things he goes, "Oh, you have one of those Spider-Man posters with the fucking Twin Towers."
Yeah, that was awesome.
Like, oh, thank God. I even thought about it too. I'm like, oh man, I hope he knows it's a poster because he was in the fucking movie.
One of those.
Yeah. And then he just flat out, that was like the first thing he like.
Yeah, literally even like before saying like hi to everyone in the room. He's like, oh, I got that poster.
Yeah, he saw the poster and I'm like, there's another thing. Thank God. We got this. We're gonna be good. I think the nerves went away immediately. Like, because I probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours before, like the nerves started kicking in and I was pacing.
Yeah. The only person I was really nervous to talk to, like when we were behind stage, was Harry, because like Martian Manhunter is like,
he's intimidating, but he's such a fucking treasure.
He's like one of my favorite characters, and like so like when he popped in, I said, "Oh my fucking God!" And so I said, like before he left, I said, "It was really great to meet you," and then he left. And it's funny the way he left. It's such like a dad thing. Like he was using a laptop, right, and he just closed the laptop. So like his webcam is obviously like just attached to, he's probably using like a Mac or something, and he did like, you can see the camera, like you can see the bottom of the laptop get closer and closer, and then it just goes black.
Well, it's funny too with Joe. He was having trouble getting out of his.
Yeah, I kicked him out because I didn't want.
No, I did. Like, what you did? I thought I did. I thought I was like,
would have done it at the same time.
I think we probably did it at the same time because we were all like, it was over with and we're all kind of backstage. and then it was funny because I saw like he was struggling and I went, "You need some help?" And I clicked his thing, and I think we probably clicked it at the same time.
Probably.
No, but yeah, when it came to Lennox and Scott, I mean, like I knew that was going to be perfect just because when I interviewed Harry and I had Scott, I asked Scott, I'm like, dude, submit a video, like bring up Titus because I haven't seen it and I know you're all about it, and and do whatever you do. And like his video was fantastic because at the end he just brings up his Martian Manhunter figurine, of course, that he has, and then he eats a cookie, and Harry laughed his ass off during our interview. And I'm so glad that he actually, he did use a laptop, because with me, he actually was using, I think he was using his phone or something like that. So that's why it froze up and I had to edit it up a little bit. And
I remember that now.
Yeah, so that was a struggle with that. So I was glad that he, that's one of the things when it comes to this is like, because we'll get to Dave Batista, but I know there was issues that happened with that. But it's just kind of funny because, I mean, when it comes to these celebrities, they're not us.
Yeah, so like you try to walk them through it, and like luckily, like certain guests that we had people that like set things up for them.
Yeah.
So like they were good. But even like when they had people set up, like Dave Batista's, like he had a whole tech guy, and there was still like a little bit of an issue. But no, that's I guess the one nerve-wracking thing about doing it live is that like like the littlest thing can like mess up, and like with like the Joe and the audio thing, like,
yeah, exactly.
And you wouldn't have known that because like when we were backstage it was fine, but like when we went live, that's when it messed up, and it's like, okay, now I mean there was like 1,400 people watching us just be like, can you hear us now? Can you hear us now?
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, here we go, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna end up leaving or something like that.
That's like, what I was nervous of too. He's just like, screw it, like,
yeah,
I can't fix it. Bye.
But it ended up being okay. I know. It was just like, oh man. Yeah. And I try to just keep it going, and just kind of go like, can you hear me now?
I think we figured out that like if you stood still, it was fine. But like when you started moving, that's when it messed up.
I know, and that is, you know how difficult that is for me.
Yeah, I know.
To not move. I mean, once I got that message from Cole, she was like, hey, try not to move, and I think it'll be all right. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like trying to restrain myself to not be animated or anything like that, you know, and it was just it was hard. And then of course so after, of course, I would say that was probably my favorite moment was when Harry brought up the Chocos and just the way he smiled, and then there's a perfect screenshot where literally like he's holding it up and all you could see is Harry's smile. You can't see his eyes, and then you see Scott with his arms up. Like, yes.
That was so sweet. And it's just crazy that they both had it in like the same proximity, like at the same time, like. And also, those things are fucking disgusting. If you ever eat them, they're like marketed like they're gonna be like cookies. Oh,
never tried them, but I don't think I want to.
Don't like. I regret like opening my package because like I wanted to keep them like pristine, but I was like, oh, dude, I gotta try these.
Yeah, but no good, huh? And you heard it here first, folks. Heard it here first.
It was a mistake.
Yes, and then we got Patrick Tatopoulos, which he was, and you know, just pairing him with Enosh was perfect too, because Enosh literally has a Batmobile that he designed and he pulled it out, and then he had pictures too from when he visited the Batmobile,
which we didn't know that. Like we were trying to find, because like Patrick was one of the last people that we paired with anyone, so we were thinking like, oh, who are we going to put him? Because we didn't really know Patrick at all. I mean, Zach was the one that like suggested him, and we're like, oh, if you can get him, like for sure, we'll have him join. So when Zach kind of told us a little bit about him, we're like, oh yeah, we got to put him with Enosh.
No, it worked out. Like when I was watching, and I was just going, oh, see, there you go, perfect again, because all of a sudden he brings up the Batmobile, and I mean, there's so much talk about the designs and all that, and I mean, Patrick was fucking awesome. I love the fact that he had like his version behind him.
And he had the what is that?
The model mock-up, whatever the hell they call it. I don't even know.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool.
Yeah. And man, that guy's goatee that goes straight up to his bottom lip. That is so crazy. Like I envy guys that have that. I mean, when it comes to me, I get a little space before, I get that little. Anyways,
same.
He just has like a good little like line. They just perfect line of hair that goes right up from his goatee to like the bottom lip part, which I think my dad has called it the butt brush. Anyways, you can think about that one. Think about that one, guys. Yeah, he's like called it.
It's such a dad thing to say.
Yeah, it's called the butt brush. Get it? Because when your face is, I'm like, Dad. Okay, I get it.
I get it.
I don't need to. I don't need to think about that with you and stepmom. All right. It's like, but we had a laugh. My dad's funny, and then of course you guys with. Somebody who wears a V-neck, that guy.
It's funny because he wore the same exact outfit.
Dude, that's why I made that joke like a couple of weeks ago when I was like, my favorite superhero costumes, and I put 4 images, which is the Batfleck BVS costume, the black suit, Superman costume, the Wonder Woman costume, and then I put Zach with his V-neck. I'm like, that's a superhero. That's his superhero costume. I know. It's funny too. He was nice and clean shaven, because it was funny when he was on Grace's video, he had like a full on fucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan beard. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he's just clean shaven. Bam.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like you said, both days, it's almost like it was the same day. It almost seemed like the lighting was the same. Everything was like the same. And I'm like, well, maybe his hair was like a little bit different, but hopefully he showered and slept.
Knowing him, he probably didn't sleep.
Yeah, he probably slept a little bit. Who knows how many hours.
Dude wakes up at like 5 a.m. every day.
I think it's even earlier than that.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that I'll like, I'm going to send him a message about something like at night, and then I'll get a reply at like 4:47 in the morning. I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that was great because, one of the first things that was brought up, which I posted a video about, was, hey, we have our Green Lantern actor finally.
Yeah.
Wayne T. I always want to say William T. Carr. I don't know why. Wayne T. Carr.
Yeah. I mean, we asked him. I mean, obviously, everything we asked him was things that like we were like he cleared us to ask. You know what I mean? Like we weren't going to put him on the spot with anything. So like. We're like, hey, can we like bring this up? And he said, like, obviously we want to get his permission because we don't want to like make him uncomfortable or anything. And I feel like that's not what a lot of people understand is that like we can't just take all the questions from the chat and be like, ask him like all of these insane questions. Like, hey, Zach, are you going to make Justice League 2 and 3? Like, so like, we every time I look at the chat, Nicotina's mom is in there.
I know, what is that? I just saw that right now, and I'm like, somebody is Nicotina's mom, which I highly doubt it is, but it's fine.
No, but like, so we asked him like, okay, these are kind of things we want to talk about. Is this okay? And he said, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we're like, all right, well, like, here's a picture of Green Lantern.
Yeah, I know, but I had my fingers crossed. I had my fingers crossed. I'm like, show it, Zach. Show the actual.
I know.
But he didn't do it, and I know, like, people, you got to realize that he's, even though he doesn't hear shit about the numbers and stuff like that, he still gets pressure to be like, I can't, or he can't really poke the beast as much as he wants to. Yeah. So I think, I mean, just let it be known. I mean, he filmed the thing, and he's got something that he could show, obviously.
And that's why, like, I asked him after, like, he said who he was and that, like, they filmed it in his driveway. And I said, will we ever get to see it? And he said, maybe. So, yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I think he looks at everything and goes, okay, it's not the right time. Let me wait for it. I mean, I've said it time and time again, there's going to be more bombs that are going to drop.
Exactly.
When it comes to him and Warner Brothers and stuff like that. And when you guys brought that up, I'm like, yeah, show the image, Zach, bring it up on your phone. Look at your phone and do it. And then he did. And I was like, oh, damn it.
It's funny because we discussed, like, I was going to be the person that was in charge of, like, getting the comments and the questions. Yeah. And Cole was the designated, like, put him in solo layout if he grabs his phone person. Because with the League of Mayhem stream where he showed the Martian Manhunter picture, like, we just missed it by, like, just a second.
Yeah, I know. He just, and then all of a sudden when you did it, he just went like, he smiled and shook his head. Like, I'm not showing it again. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. And I was like, I was so hoping. I was like, oh, just do it. But the fact of the matter is that, like, he brought him up, and now we can officially say that, yes, Wayne T. Carr, which I know was, it got revealed a little bit. I know. And I mean, it was part. I mean, I obviously everybody knows that I knew about it because, I mean, obviously you talk to Zack Snyder on the phone and you just go, hey, who is that? He just goes, oh yeah, it's this one guy. He's a very open dude on the phone. And then, but anytime that he tells me, don't say anything, I fucking say, okay, you got 100%. But he didn't really say that with this because he knew that it was like, it's going to come out. I have a little plan thing. So I was like, I'm going to tease it. And Zach's always good on, like, hey, teasing, fine. Of course, I try to be as cryptic as possible. But then, people did catch on to it, but it's totally fine. And the fact that
I think the only reason why it got any type of traction was because of that concept art came out the same night.
I know. All of a sudden I saw that.
It looked exactly like.
And I even messaged him. I was like, dude, you're like DJ, or who was it? Jay. Well, who did the
I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, but I'm like, hey, so he just totally just dropped a bunch of concept art, and there's fucking car right there. And then, of course, the next day, early in the morning, I get a message back. He goes, "Yeah, it looks good." I was like, all right. So I kind of freaked out. I'm like, dude, he just revealed, like, you could clearly see who that is. It's not like it's a, and he just flat out was like, oh yeah, that's him. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a guy.
Yeah, I'm like, all right. I thought you were gonna reveal it yourself for something like that. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we get to see that image. And I mean, there was also some little bit of misinformation that came out too, because I think it was partly because when Lennox was on, I think it was on Lightcast or somewhere, and he mentioned like, oh yeah, you know, both I and Green Lantern, whoever did Green Lantern, we like filmed it in Zack Snyder's driveway. So then all of a sudden it got kind of rearranged to, oh, they both shot at the same time. It was supposed to be Martian Manhunter and Green Lantern at the same time, and blah blah blah. I'm like, no, they shot at different times, just in his driveway. That's all. Yeah. That's why you gotta think about that, people. You gotta I mean, obviously Trevante Rhodes was not his Green Lantern. That I still remember when that came out, and I already knew that it wasn't.
Same.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, really, guys, like when I open up that article that had it, because even the headline was actually kind of good of saying, oh, maybe it could be Trevante Rhodes, but then when you open the article, it's like it literally had a sentence that said, oh yeah, and he filmed the scene with Trevante Rhodes. And I went, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. So you're good with the headline. Usually it's reversed. Usually the headline is bullshit, and then you open up the article and it goes, oh well, they didn't really mean, but it was reversed this time. It was weird.
Yeah.
And there were some people that were all about I just behind the scenes, somebody was going, hey, somebody's really saying that it's Trevante Rhodes. I'm like, well, they shouldn't be. And I'm like, well, when I asked that person, they said your source is bullshit. And I went, do you know who my source is?
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. I don't know why people I don't want to like make it seem like anything weird, but like why do they question that? Like it's kind of obvious at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's just people that actually can go to the man himself. I mean, that's what's so funny about now when it comes to the scooping game, and I like that. I like the fact that now when it comes to stuff like, I mean, before I had somebody who was, it was just one person. It was my one person of separation to Snyder at one point. But that's the thing is like, even when it came to that, I knew anything that I would ask that person, I would know, like when I got the answer, okay, that's pretty much directly from Snyder, almost like that. Now I can actually hit up Snyder and be like, hey, what about this? And then he'd be like, no, or yes, or whatever the hell.
Or just like send a cool face emoji, because that's what he always does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he'll put like a tongue out face or something like that.
Yeah. It's like, Zach, please answer the question.
I know he one of the things, he's very vague when it comes to messaging. Yeah. He's so fucking vague, but you get him on the phone and it's just and it's like, yes, this is what I want. This is what I want right here, man. Let's talk forever. But yeah, I mean, it was even the same thing back when Ray Porter got ousted. As I hit up my source. I was like, hey, is this the case? And then all of a sudden, like probably like a half a day later, he comes back to me and pretty much with a little screenshot where he messaged Snyder. So it was like a one-off, and he goes, yep, that's the guy. Okay, confirmed. Here we go. And then I made a video. I'm like, there you go, confirmed right there, guys. But yeah, I know. It's just when it comes to some of this, and some people were like, yeah, it's full on, it's Trevante Rhodes. I'm like, no, it's not. I mean, that was my choice for John Stewart.
I wanted John David Washington.
Yeah, I know you're big on him. You know what? He would be in my top 5. I wouldn't.
5.
Yeah, top 5. He wasn't my number 1. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay. I know, but I get it though. I would not if that was, and if it was going to be the case, I would totally be for it, because I like John D. Washington. He's got that. He's got his dad's fucking strut, which I love. Yeah, a little bit of cadence that he has in his voice that you can like. Oh yeah, that's right. You're Denzel's kid.
Yeah.
Sure. Which he showed off in Tenet. And then moving forward, okay, so then we got the Jay Oliva. Oh my God. I mean, talk about another perfect pairing with Tim and Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great. And man, Jay Oliva, I love his. I mean, it's so funny, but because he is an Energizer bunny.
He just has so many
God,
incredible stories,
yeah,
like that. Like he'll be in the middle of telling a story, and it'll remind him of another story, and it just goes on and on. And Tim was just, an incredible host,
oh
and
yeah,
just
Tim just
let
like with a smile on
Jay
his face,
speak.
just listening to it, and not to mention, I mean, Jay upped his fucking camera.
Oh, I know. That's the first when he popped in. I'm like,
Yeah,
dang, dude! Like you got a whole new setup and
I know.
everything.
Where was he at? Was he at his house, his basement, at a
Well,
comic book store?
he said he was in his man cave.
Holy
So
shit! Okay, so that's his man cave. So he's got an arcade and just all. I mean, it looks like a comic book shop that has like some arcade games in the background.
well, last year, he got the time zones mixed up last year,
Yeah,
so he was actually sleeping when we got a hold
yeah, I
of him,
remember
and was
that.
like, "Dude, like you're supposed to be live right now." So, for him to like be able to speak, I mean, we put him as the last panel of the day just because he loves to
Yeah,
talk and tell all these incredible stories. And so we put him last, and he was all worried that like no one was going to watch him, but like there was quite a bit of people still there.
oh yeah, no, it was still good. I mean, and it was just, man, I mean, just listening to him again and then just talking about the storyboards, and then I love the fact that Tim brought up, the Wonder Woman storyboards as well as
Mhm.
the Justice League ones too. And that's when like one of my friends arrived, and I'm like, you arrived early. I still have a stream to
I
do,
got a thing to do, so
and
hold on.
yeah, and then I was like, what? And then I was just explaining. I was like, well, this is the storyboard. I mean, he does animated stuff, and when that was all being brought up. And then it was funny too, because I pushed Scott and, me and Scott's stream, our Fanimated stream, because, normally we're going to do it at like 6 o'clock my time. And I was like, well, I don't want to overlap Jay and Tim's panel. So I put it at 6:30 and then it was just like, I waited a little bit. I'm like, are they going to end? Are they going to end? And it was like, no, it's not ending. It's just not. And because I had it on my TV, I had it running on my TV, and then I just like said, all right, fuck it, mute it. And then we went forward with our stream. And then it was funny because, I even commented, if you watch the Fanimated stream at the end, I'm like, they're still going.
Yeah,
After an hour.
it was
Yeah.
funny because Ben sent me a link to their stream that I think that you were supposed to be at. And he sent it to me because it was supposed to start, I think, at like 10 o'clock my time, and that was like right when the J panel was scheduled to end.
Yeah.
And I sent Ben a message like 10:30. I said, I'll be there soon, like don't worry. And I only ended up like making it to like the last like 15 minutes, I think, because like Jay just kept going and going. And even when we ended the stream, he was still backstage just talking, and it was really cool.
But that's what's so awesome about that guy too. And I loved like when he talked about how, when he talks about storyboarding stuff with like Snyder and getting little like, hey, like what do you want exactly this? And Snyder will give some kind of crazy like, well, just imagine this and this. I forgot exactly what examples that he gave, but then Jay was like, oh, okay, I get exactly what he's saying, even though it's like weird. I get what he's saying, and and I loved it. And he even said something that was kind of like, oh, that he was worried, like, oh, like it wasn't like I was worried that I wasn't going to get along with Zach. I was like worried that he wasn't going to like me or something like that. He said something when he first talked. I'm like, oh, who's not going to like you, man? Come on. Jesus Christ. He's just, I can listen to that guy talk forever. Mm-hmm. But it was just funny because when we were wrapping up, I think, at the end of our stream, and that went in an hour, by the way, talking about an episode of Batman, the animated series. And then I look over at the TV. I'm like, well, yeah, they're still going. Cole just joined and they're still talking. And I think Nana joined too. And I was like, and then probably like a minute after we stopped, they stopped. It was like, oh shit. And then, I didn't make the stream because like I said, I already had a friend that showed up and more were coming. And I was like, I'm not going to make it to the stream. Sorry, guys. How long did that stream go on for last night? Probably like 2 hours.
I really don't. I showed up, I think it was like 2 hours, maybe a little bit under.
Yeah, and it was funny too because I even told Ben, I'm like, I'm gonna have to play it by ear, and then all of a sudden, like 6 hours later, I'm on the thumbnail. Like, all right, I maybe I'll try.
Yeah, dang, I showed up and I wasn't even on the thumbnail.
Yeah, no, what's that? We could have just replaced my face.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he used like 2 different ones. He
I know,
really
hilarious.
went deep into my Instagram because he's like found an image of me that it was like a workout selfie from like 4 years ago that he used where I was just making a stupid face, and I'm like, wow. And then all of a sudden he replaced it with like another one where I took at my desk a while back too with sunglasses on. It's like, yeah, Ben knows. He's just digging in my Instagram. That guy, pervert. No. And then okay, so then the next day we had Spotlight on American Foundation. So, sadly, I didn't watch that because I was still sleeping. I was up a little late last night. Hey, I had to show everybody Zack Snyder's Justice League, okay? And it all got positive. You know, people hadn't seen it. I had to show it. So we're all up till about 3:00 in the morning, drinking wine and fucking, and fucking bourbon. And so I was a little late of getting up this morning. So I kind of missed that one. But then I joined in.
So offended.
I know. And then when the first thing I woke up and I like clicked into the women behind the scenes of Army of the Dead, watched a little bit of that. And then I was like, oh man, I got to nurture this hangover. And then, and then I jumped in probably about halfway into the Spotlight on the women from Army of the Dead. And holy shit, that was I think a lot of people, even in the chat, were saying that was their favorite panel.
Yeah. Because we were backstage for all of the panels. So about like 20 minutes before the women behind the scenes ended, I had to go into the next lobby, and I got there, and then Sam Wynn showed up, and I was like so nervous. I said, "Oh my god, it's Sam Wynn!" And I brought her up, and she was so sweet. And then Tig showed up, and dude, she great,
was hilarious, man.
Well, we had. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I've liked her as a comedian for years.
Yeah,
yeah.
So like we had them all backstage, and then Nana and Cole showed up, and it was so fun. Like even before we went live, and it was actually like the first time that a lot of these actresses had seen each other or spoken to each other since like wrapping the film, and it's like the first time Tig actually got to talk to any of the people that are in the movie. And she is so fucking hilarious. Like with her, like when they were talking about like, oh, you remember when we did this? And she's like, oh yeah, it was so great. But yeah, no, that panel was just so fun to be on.
What was great about it too, which I think I said to somebody, was like the fact that there were so many. I mean, it's a big panel, but nobody was really talking over each other. It seemed like everybody just kind of like, all right, I'm going to talk now, and nobody was. It was not like, because sometimes it could get, everybody's just trying to say something, but it seemed like everybody knew exactly. Hey, when that person stopped talking, boom, somebody else would stop or start talking. And it just didn't seem like it was like that, with that many people, it just kind of went like really clean,
Yeah, it was really cool. And it got me even more hyped for the movie, because you could see how like well they interacted with each other, just as actress to actress or whatever. They have such a chemistry already.
Yeah.
So, but no, like I had to ask them, like, what movie of Zack's would they be in if it wasn't Army of the Dead? And Tig was like, I'm gonna be Batman.
Yeah, I know.
Not Batwoman, but Batman.
Yeah. No, but yeah, there were so many. I already saw some memes where they were putting her head on Ben's body, and I was like, perfect, absolutely perfect, And I love the fact that she was like right in the middle too. You guys had her right in the middle.
It's funny because she actually commented on that, because when we had to take one of the we had a Netflix rep in the background, so we took them off the screen, and then it ended up with Tig in the middle, and she's like, oh great, the spotlight's on me, or something like that.
But it was perfect though, because I mean, just like her little quips that she had, it was almost like
and then when she got up to demonstrate how she did her gun training.
Exactly. I mean, it was that. I mean, I could see why people are like, that was the best panel. And I
would have loved, it was pitched to us first that we would do like a panel, because I wanted to do a panel just with Tig, because I think she's so interesting, and like her character and the way that she was put into the movie and all of that was so interesting. But it just didn't work out that way. But someday, hopefully, because she's absolutely hilarious.
I would love to talk to her, and I'm hoping. I mean, now that we're getting to Army of the Dead, like getting closer, I'm hoping to get some of these cast members on the vodka stream. I already got.
I would love to talk to Matthias. The blonde guy. Who plays?
The German guy, right?
Yeah, the German guy. Yeah. He's hilarious.
Well, I mean, you know me. I always go like, man, it'd be cool to just get like the entire cast, like a dude, like the dudes and then the girls, or like or maybe intertwine. I don't know. And then Zach shows up. Me, I'm like I always want Zach to just pop in or something like that. Yeah. And, give somebody a heart attack like he almost did Ray Porter.
Well, it was cool because Debbie actually got to pop in and ask the actresses a question, and I think it's a really important question that they all had like such unique answers to. Like her question was like, "What advice do you give to someone that wants to get into this industry or content creating?" And they all have gone through like different struggles. Like Nora said that when she first became an actress in America, like she had to go through like people telling her to like go back to her country because her accent was so thick, and like she just was like, I know it was going to take me a while to get to where I am, but she's like, and I'm still working really hard. But no, it was just really, really inspirational. And I hope that everyone got something.
That was cool. I mean, when you, even like going on that, it's like, and it's funny too, because like, even though like, it's a focus on the women, but that can happen to like, males too, because look at Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, when he came here, he fucking could hardly speak English, and he just was like, that was a struggle for him too. And the fact that he overcame that, and now his voice is just distinct. I mean, even though he's been for a while, he's still got that, he still got an accent. It's now just that's synonymous to him. And that's what's kind of cool when it comes to these people that come from different countries. It's like, that's going to be the struggle first, because it's like, you got to find your voice, find everything. But once you do, and then you still have that accent, that's going to be part of you. And everybody's going to be like, yes, we like that about you, as opposed to like, go back to your country. I can't understand you or something like that.
Well, and that's like something that Zach hit on with his panel with Tim and Scott about how Netflix just like really like brings in these international actors to these big like American movies to get their foot in the door or whatever, just to get them out there, which I think is really cool.
It's very cool. And then of course you had Debbie with Wesley Collar. He's I forgot exactly who's he again? I'm sorry.
He's also a producer, and he is he helped.
Stone Corey. That's right. He helped establish that. Yeah, that was cool too, because Debbie, of course, is just a fucking sweetheart.
Yeah, I mean, Fatma did
she did such
an amazing job, and she was so nervous.
Yes,
and,
I know.
But I mean, it was like to do your first like solo thing for Justice Con to be like Debbie Snyder. But I mean, Debbie is such an amazing person to interview, because she makes you feel like so like calm, and like that she's not going to think any of your questions are like dumb or anything. So I was so glad that Fatma had a great time, and Fatma put so much work into her questions too. She showed us after, she had like 6 pages, and there was like things highlighted and like notes scribbled on them. It was really cool.
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, for her to like dip her toe into that, and now she knows, like, like the first time when you interview somebody who's, relatively, that's somebody that's a name or something like that. I mean, that only just really happened to me, like when I first did interview with Connie Nielsen. It's like, and then when I knew I was going to interview Zach, I had probably about 2.5 pages of just questions. But now I've gotten to the point, like when I did my Joe Ming, I was like, it's a half a page, because I know it's not, I have an hour. I know the time I have. I'm like, okay, so here's my initial questions that I'm going to get to. but then I have backup questions right here. So
Mhm.
you kind of just learn after a little bit. So I can totally understand how she probably just like, okay, I'm going to just write down everything that I want to ask, but, you know, and then highlight the ones that are definitely I want to ask. I did that same thing too with my Snyder questions. I highlighted the ones that these ones need to be asked for sure, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a muscle to work out, and I'm glad that she did a great job.
Yeah.
She absolutely did a great job, and I love the fact that we found out that the zombie tiger was based off of Carol Baskin's tiger.
How crazy is that?
Yeah, when Debbie said that, I was like, holy shit. I mean, that makes sense. And this was all before, I mean,
yeah, all before all that crazy shit.
Yes.
What a
yeah.
A crossover right there.
Seriously.
Army of the Dead and Tiger King.
Yeah. I mean, that's the case. Oh man, it would be so awesome if somehow they have like some random zombie in the crowd that looks like looks like the Tiger King, looks like what's his name?
Oh yeah.
A blonde mullet and everything, just walking.
What's that guy's name? I forget now.
All right. And then Dave Batista, and like we said, he had like some audio issues. That's why it kind of showed up a little late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out, like, because I'll use Joe's term. He sounded caterpillar-y a little bit. So like he had a really cool tech guy, Trevor. He was the one setting it all up, and you know, it would be good for a little bit, and then like it would mess up, and it was so nerve-wracking because like he said, he got a call like, oh, okay. And then he told us like, oh, Dave has arrived. And we're like, oh shit, dude. And so he shows up, and he's such a cool dude. Like when we were backstage, like he said hi to all of us, and just said how excited he was to do this panel. And
yeah.
Well, I wish we could have gotten him for a little bit longer, because we were only supposed to have him for 30 minutes, but he did go on for like, I think
45.
Yeah. Which was really cool. And it was, I mean, I liked Dave as like an actor, but like I think hearing about like how he has like ADD and like social anxiety, and which is crazy to think that like someone that was like a professional wrestler, like literally like viewership of millions, has like social anxiety like that.
Yeah, that was I mean, it was so many times when I went, oh man, look at this guy. He's like pouring his heart. I mean, yeah, this was a different side of Dave Batista that you don't see. I mean, it started off just him just talking about all of that, and you could even tell too, it's like, oh man, he's just, you know, this is not normal. And the fact that he went above and beyond, I mean, like I said, when it comes to like, you know, sometimes when celebrities get on these things, they just prop up their iPad and then, you know, or their phone or something like that, and that's fine. But Batista was all about like, hey, I have a guy that's gonna help me with this to make sure that this is good. And it just kind of shows you right there that he was like respecting that, and he didn't want it to be something to go wrong. And then when he was fully on and everything, he just, man, I wanted to give him a big fucking hug.
Yeah, and you know, Enosh and him were such a perfect match, just like with the wrestling, and then like this crazy Star Wars like toy thing that they have.
Oh my God.
And then Batista, Dave posts that picture of like his unopened Ewok village and tags him.
Oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen too. Like as soon as he talked about that, and he goes, "Oh man, I know,
yeah."
And then all of a sudden, probably like 2 hours later or something like that, he fucking. He just he quote tweets and fucking with a.
It's funny because I texted Tiff because it was like 10 minutes. And, like, Enosh hadn't retweeted it or anything. Yeah. And I said, "Has he seen this?" And she's like, "Oh my God, we haven't seen this." And I said, "What the fuck? You need to like go check it out." Like he literally like he had, because like you could tell he was still in his like, because he was in his kitchen and his gym.
So and did a selfie,
yeah, like he brought it to where he was to take a picture just for that moment, which was really cool.
I mean, he's just talking about just like and you know what I loved, what I heard too when he was talking. He goes, because when he was talking about Army of the Dead, and he wanted to talk more about it, and he was talking about how the end is just like he just, and then he goes, we're going to be talking about this more, we're going to be doing more of this. I love the fact that he was like, I want to just come on more live streams and talk about all this stuff, and I'm like, I was like, oh man, if I can get Batista too on the Vodka stream, that'd be sweet.
Yeah, I would love to hear more about. He said that he met with Warner Brothers to tell him like I want to play Bane, like, and they're like, well, we aren't doing that right now, or however, and then how he has to like his role for like Blade Runner and his role for Drax and Guardians, how he had to like fight for that, like fight for those roles. It's like he was such a big star already before doing movies. Like you'd think that it would be like a no-brainer. Yeah, but I'm just wondering what the fight was.
Well, I think it's just, he kind of even talked about it too. Like, people didn't take him seriously as an actor, and that's what drives him, which I love. I love the fact that that's what drives him to be like, you know what, I'm not going to just take any role. I love the fact that he even admitted, oh yeah, when I heard about Army of the Dead, I was like, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do a zombie heist movie. What is this? And then his people go, read it. And he read it and went, oh, okay, this is different. Mm-hmm. I do want to do this. And then we've heard before, too, that James Gunn offered him something for the Suicide Squad. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of wondering, I still wonder if it was just for, was it King Shark?
I don't know. That's what I think. I think it was probably King Shark.
It just sounds like it was King Shark. And, is he going to want to do a voiceover where he goes, hand,
Well, and, he even tweeted, like, or like I think it was maybe 2 days ago about the Kilowog thing, saying that like, hey guys, like I appreciate it, but like, can I be someone that's not like ugly? So I think that maybe it was hinting kind of at like that King Shark thing too, because it's like, does he want to just be a fucking shark?
Yeah. But what's also funny too is like the day before when Zach was talking about on your stream, he goes like, oh, him as Bane is too on the fucking nose.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like,
he's like, oh,
Bane, I love Bane. I want Bane. It's like, and then when and then later on when Snyder was on with Scott and Tim, he goes, yeah, apparently he wants Bane. You got to make that happen. And I'm like, and that's when he was talking about, when Batista was talking about that, that's when I tweeted out, I'm like, man, give me a black labeled Bane Joker style movie. And I know some people were like,
"Oh no, he wanted to be Lobo." I think I want him as Lobo way more than Bane. Lobo.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. It's just like I could see both, but I don't know. I think I've always had my when I look at him, I'm like, well, it's Bane. Like Snyder said, it's on the fucking nose, and it really is.
Yeah.
But I see it, but I don't. I know some people are like, no, he's got to be Batfleck's Bane. I'm like, no, he doesn't. He doesn't have to be Bane. Yeah, I'm like, I would rather have him do a solo thing like the Joker, really a more grounded version, maybe. I don't know, something. I don't know. I would rather have that, like, because he's wearing the luchador mask. Of course, like, Dave Batista was a wrestler, bring some of that in where it's like, bring some of those elements into the character. And, you could change the backstory a little bit. You can incorporate the venom that he has, he doesn't have to be full Tom Hardy and be grounded, in something completely different. It could have still some of the elements, but can be grounded. I don't know. I was just going, just give this man a fucking, black label Bane movie and see what happens, but probably won't happen.
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers, so.
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers.
If it's a good idea, no.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I was actually happy that I gave Joe the idea that, hey, your wintergreen should be, Arnold, you got to do this.
Oh, yeah, and his reaction was awesome.
You see that?
Like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. He was like, he went, okay, I'm going to put that in the chin. And he pointed at that. I'm like, I'm just saying, dude, I got some good ideas, man. Because I brought up the whole John Cleese thing because I wanted to be like, was John Cleese like part of something? And Joe was like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about.
He's like, what?
Yeah, I know. I went, shit. Okay, so that didn't really go anywhere.
I just wanted to okay, then why did he post that picture?
Yeah,
those Batman comics.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was trying to get into that, and I was like, was he gonna be your wintergreen? And he was like, I don't know. none of that. No. And then I was like, well, and then after all the Arnold talk, I was like, hey, there's your wintergreen right there, man. Make Arnold. That would be fucking oof. That'd be sweet. But no, but Batista, like I said, he was a sweetheart. And like, the fact that he said he would probably do Lobo as well, which, God, whatever happened to that? Wasn't there like an announcement for that like 3 years ago? Michael Bay.
Who the fuck knows, man?
I know.
I mean, I see that like the Blackhawks thing is still a thing, maybe. So that's cool.
They kept that alive, but I mean, we know how that is. I mean, they kept keeping the new gods alive. We know what happened with that.
Hey, at least we got super pets.
Hey, you know what? That's for the kids. That's fine. You know, I know. It's all. It can be frustrating. And then, of course, then we rounded out the whole thing with Scott and Tim talking to Zack Snyder, which thank God, because I've tried, but I've tried to like get them to talk to him, a couple of times, and they did. That last time with the Deck the Halls, I think it was, where they got to ask him one question, but this time it was full-fledged. And I love the fact that this time it was supposed to be all Army of the Dead. And I remember talking to Scott going, and he was just like, oh, trust me. And I think it was like a backstage, maybe after a vodka stream or maybe it was after the first Fanimated that we did. And we talked about it. And he goes, oh, I'm rewatching Dawn of the Dead. I'm not going to bring up Zack Snyder's Justice League. I'm like, good, don't. That's fine. Bring up all kinds of other stuff. You don't need to bring. He's been talking about that to death. He's going to talk about the day before. You don't need to do that. And man, just everything that they went over. And I love the fact that Zack started talking about lenses and brought out the lenses, and then talked about man. I was just completely going, man. Camera people that love cameras. I'm sure Stephen Colbert was probably nutting in his pants when he was talking about like the 300s, the 300 Leonidas just doing his thing with the zoom in, the slow motion stuff, and the way that they rigged that up and everything. And I mean, I was going, holy shit, man. I mean, that's what I love about the guy is the fact that he goes, how do we establish a shot? And he always goes, I mean, he has a shot in mind and goes, how do we do this? And
he told the story about the Gatorade commercial, right? And how like he had this idea
in Mexico City,
and then they signed on for it. He's like, all right, now I have to figure out how the fuck to do this.
Exactly. And then when he went to 300, they were like, well, how about we do a scene like that? And he goes, oh wait, I know how to do that now. Yeah. He's like, I figured it out. And just to have like the rig with like pretty much 3 different cameras and the beam that's involved and the way that it shoots in there, and then you have 2 different perspectives and then another perspective, and then it's like oh man, I'm like, god damn it, man. That's what's so, even rewatching Zack Snyder's Justice League last night, it's like I'm sitting there, I mean, as I'm trying to gauge everybody's reaction, when you watch a movie that you love with other people, you want to like, you're like in your react a certain way. And you're like, what's the reaction going to be? So I'm like looking around, and then during that scene, it's like nobody's getting a reaction. And I'm going, you realize the intricacy of this fucking scene right here?
You guys don't understand. Okay, let's play it back. And I want the proper response. Yeah, no, I do. Let me explain
it to you. There's this crazy camera rig, and there's a bunch of cameras that are floating around these people. It's all one take. It's all the same take. You don't realize this. Damn it. And it's just like, oh man, you just want to stop the movie and just explain it. You guys got to realize. I know
there's this guy named Zack, right?
Yeah. And I talk to him every now and again. I know. It's just you just want to nerd out on all that and stuff. Yeah. And with Scott and Tim, just talking about all, and again, they were all nice and dressed up, and of course, I know, like Zack's in his V-neck.
Yeah. The same exact outfit as the day before, and probably the day before that.
I know. I want to ask him one of these days. I'm like, do you just have like drawers?
You own stock in Hanes?
I know. I know. I'm like, do you have them like hung up, or are they in a drawer? Like, what are they doing? I mean, I almost want to think like, the opening, like when Bruce Wayne in Batman Returns walks into his little fucking closet, do you have just like just a whole shelf of just V-necks that's yours, and that's in your closet of the bedroom that you guys share?
Dude, he probably does.
I know. Well, that'd be a question to ask Debbie. That'd be a funny one to ask Debbie. She'd probably laugh her ass off and be like, "Oh yeah, he's got this, that," and then she'd probably give the real tea out about that. He'd probably be like, "Yeah, I got him like this and this," but Debbie'd be like, "Nah, he's got him." He's like, "Oh yeah, you know how many times I have to walk around the room and pick up V-necks?"
It was funny because one of the ladies, I don't remember specifically which one from the Army cast, said that one of her first encounters with Zack was that he went to lift up this huge camera and he put it on his shoulder and he's wearing this brand new white t-shirt. She's like, no, you need to change. You're going to ruin your shirt. As if he doesn't probably have hundreds of them.
He'll be okay. What's going on, Enosh? We got Enosh. What's up, buddy? Good job. Good job all weekend, man. Both panels you were a part of. Well, you were part of 3 panels, technically, if you want to talk about the Ray Fisher one. Definitely did a good job with that. And man, we're proud of you. Good job. And man, how ecstatic were you when you saw Dave Batista tweet out the picture that he talked about with the Ewok village? That is so cool. It's like I said, it was perfect again with the perfect pairing, and you're pairing somebody who has a shit ton of Star Wars toys, and then all of a sudden,
turns out that Dave Batista also has
a ton of Star Wars toys.
The one Star Wars toy too that Enosh really
laugh though. I did laugh when it came to Batista going like, "Oh yeah, you can come over and stare at my box." I went,
"Yeah, dude, I was fucking dying."
And then Enosh was like, "I would gladly," like, oh man, I was like, oh man, I would have made so many jokes right there, but it was just, oh man, when he said that, I was like, oh. That's funny.
And just the way he said it too was just so innocent. And he's like, "You can come over and stare at my box."
I was like, oh my God. I just started cracking up. I was like, yes. This is what it's all about right here. It's all about. But yeah, talking about Tim and Scott all doing their thing too. I mean, oh
no, it was perfect because we were trying to figure out, because we wanted Tim and Scott to interview Zack, but we didn't know which day, because obviously us, Nana, Cole, and I wanted to interview Zack because we made this whole convention for Zack, and it's kind of cathartic in a way that we interviewed him the first time. We'd like to interview him after the movie comes out. So we picked Justice League for us, and then obviously we were like, okay, Tim and Scott have to interview him for Army. So it was really cool to because we had that Zoom meeting where we told everyone, and I know Scott was excited. He just couldn't quite show it because he had his little baby with him. But they were. I was so excited.
That's good. No, it was perfect, and the way that it wrapped up with that, and like I said,
how we hit the $15,000 mark when they were live with Zack. It was really cool.
That was cool. 750 total, 750,000 total, man.
Which is so good, because I had mentioned that because I did the first panel of the day with the AFSP, and we were trying to figure out before we went live how much the fandom was really at, because the last official number was the 500,000, right? And then they had the Uche stream that did I think it was 100,000 or something, or maybe even a little bit more. So we calculated it all, and we're like, okay, if we hit it was either 15 or 20,000 for Justice Con, that we would be at the $750 mark, which, I mean, 750,000, which is crazy to think about.
I know, right? It's just and then you had to clarify. No, we didn't. We're not at 750,000 over the weekend, guys. We just made it to as a total, as a whole group and everything, and it is pretty nuts. And then of course Zack talked about. I think talked about it on the Justice League panel about IMAX screenings, which I was like, I mean, he talked about Universal City, and he talked about places over here, so I'm going, okay, I guess I'm gonna make it to those.
He said three places: New York, somewhere in California, and then somewhere else. I don't remember. But if you donate, you have a chance to win those tickets. So
Yeah.
And it's Justice's Gray version too.
Yeah,
so.
which is I'm totally
Seeing
fine.
that in IMAX, holy shit!
Fucking A, man. No, I'm gonna try it. I'm even gonna hit up. I'm like, hey, man, can I just go?
Yeah, I mean,
even I'll donate, but I mean, I just want to make sure I can go. Can you just pick it up, buddy? I'll still donate. Don't matter. I just want to make sure. Yeah.
And then he said, once we hit the $1 million mark and we have the 3-day weekend in October, it's just a celebration of $1 million, and it'll be.
That's right. Talking about Snyder Con too.
Yeah.
That'll be crazy. I mean, it sounds like he's definitely down up for it. And he says he wants like each day. It's like Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and then of course Zack Snyder Justice League, and then of course Ryan mentioned right in here that it said, "Yep, the new version is on HBO Max."
Sweet.
It kind of throws you off a little bit though because it's not entirely in IMAX. I thought it was going to be entirely in IMAX, but it's like certain scenes where the aspect changes.
Oh, it's like Aquaman. That's how Aquaman is.
And
too.
so was Dark Knight. Dark Knight's like that too, where like the specific scenes that were made specifically for IMAX. Yeah. So it's not quite the full thing like Justice League is. Because it threw me off because I started, I'm like, I was kind of going through, I'm like, it's still fucking the same perspective. Yeah. But then all of a sudden it got to like a big scene and it was, oh, there it is. Now it's full on. Okay, gotcha. So but yeah, Snyder Con, I mean, hopefully that can happen and hopefully that will, and then we can all just, meet up and be like, hey, we're not just talking heads right here.
Yeah, we're just not a scream.
Exactly. I mean, obviously you guys got a little bit of that with the whole BVS Comes Home, which I didn't attend because of things. I wanted to, but didn't happen. So hopefully when the Snyder Con 2, or I guess you could say, shows up, hopefully everybody makes their way over to California. And all I hope, I mean, obviously it's not, thank God, is even though it was cool to watch BVS when he had the first Snyder Con in that small theater in Pasadena, it was still like, holy God. I mean, I'm literally just like scrunched up. I was essentially humping fucking Matt's leg, from Comic Movie Marks. I was scrunched up next to him. I forgot who was on the other side of me. And we're like right directly in the middle. And the whole time I'm just going, please don't have to pee. Please don't have to pee. Please don't have to pee. Because it was just, I mean, it's old style. If you're going to try to get out, you're going to be stomping on, stepping on toes and stuff like that. And but he did say specifically it'd be IMAX stuff probably. I mean, I think he would probably play all those in IMAX. It wouldn't be in the same spot, but I mean, at the same time though, even though it was those kind of conditions, no AC, by the way. It got a little warm, but the energy of watching BVS with 300 Snyder fans was something else. I mean, but I made the joke, of course, was like, okay, the opening credits, everybody's cheering all the names, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill. And I'm like, yeah, guys, we're cheering while the Waynes are getting murdered.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, it was just kind of funny. Like I made that joke to Matt, and he was like, "Yeah, I know it's funny." I was like, I get it, but it's just like this whole scene it's like a somber scene of like the Waynes getting murdered, and everybody cheering for all the names that are popping up. I'm like, wait, guys. But with all the other scenes, like anytime that a new character showed up on the screen, everybody was like cheering. Mm-hmm. It was crazy. And then, of course, when it came to the Wonder Woman scene, I mean, the whole roof probably fucking rattled. It was insane. So hopefully we do that again. But anyways, we'll go ahead and wrap this up because it's about an hour and a half. But Meg, again, good job. Fantastic job. You and, of course, Nana and Cole.
Yeah, I mean, this wouldn't exist without Nana and Cole's hard work as well. It was a lot of fun to plan this year because we could involve like a ton more people. I'm just really thankful that like you and Scott and Tim and Shiraz, everyone else was, on board with this crazy idea that we had.
No, it all worked out. And the fact that I think even though it was bigger, it probably felt, somewhat easier because you weren't having to be on screen the whole time, And
yeah, for sure.
You could be behind the scenes and just kind of
You
like,
could actually like be more involved. Like
yeah,
as weird as that is, like because last year, I mean, we did every single panel.
yeah,
So like, we would wake up, go live for like 10 hours, and then like we couldn't really post anything or like do much outside of that frame of like
exactly.
the 15 minutes we had. So it was cool to be able to sit back and like watch what we did, like actually live.
Yeah, no. It worked out. I think it was a good system, like I said, especially when, specifically my panel that had the technical difficulties. It was just kind of like,
Problem
hey,
child.
yeah, I was like, hey, ladies, is it bad from your end? What's going on? And how can we fix this? And it kind of, so the fact that you guys were there behind the scenes to kind of be like, hey, well, now it sounds all right. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, try not to move as much and blah, blah, blah. And, so I think that, that was a good approach for, of course, future Justice Cons, which I'm sure is going to be the case. It's going to happen. More Justice Cons.
It has to happen, right? We gotta talk to Wayne T. Carr now.
Yeah, I know, right? God, I know. Now that's official. I'm trying to get that. I'm reaching out to that guy and being like, hey, man, what was it like?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But anyways, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Ryan, for the donations. I kind of wish Man of Steel was shot in the same way. Okay. And then we got Infinity. Damn it, Meg. Great job. Also, how was Taco Bell?
So fucking good.
I'm sure. I had Taco Bell today, too. I said, fuck it. I'm like,
What'd you get?
I got some quesaritos.
They don't sell those here anymore unless you order through the app, which
that's the thing. That's what I have to do too.
Fucking
just order through the app. Just order through the app.
It's just an extra
step. It's not that hard.
Just not an extra step.
No. I know it is. Trust me. I was the same way. I was like, why the fuck? But now
it's so stupid because you go through the drive-through and
I know,
you're like, oh, hey,
place.
Can I get a quesarito? And they're like, oh, no, you have to order through the app.
I know. It's really stupid. It's really dumb. But I appreciate the app because obviously, I mean, my Taco Bell is literally like a minute and a half away. So as I get in my car, I hit boop, like confirm. And then it's like, it's going to be ready in, 30 seconds. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's not that bad because, you just walk up, it's already ready for you. You say your name and blah, blah, blah. So it's okay. Yeah. That extra step sucks. I get it, but do it. Do it because they're so good. They're so good.
Good.
And I was like, I'm getting 2 of these bad boys. I'm like, I don't care. I'm like, I was hungover for half the day. I need some more junk food in me. So yeah. So anyways, guys, appreciate you guys clicking in and spending some time with us. And thank you, Meg. And good job again. Excellent job. And you guys know where to find her at Wonder Meg. And then of course, make sure you checked out all the panels on Justice Con. They're still all out there. Course, and a lot of
donate to the fundraiser too. It's
donate, like I said, and even my first link is always going to be Autumn's AFSP right there. Always going to be there, and let's get to 1 million. Let's get to 1 million by October. Let's try that, and I think we could do it. I think we could pull it off. I can't. I believe in you guys. Definitely believe in you guys. All right, guys. Talk to you later.